Well, hello everybody. I am Tina Rayner from Rise to Shine Coaching at tinarayner.com, and welcome to another extensive training. I love the lighting in this room and makes me look like I don't have any wrinkles. So let's get started. This training is called How to Face Your Fear of Being Alone. And I didn't plan on doing this video actually. I did a video a couple of weeks ago called Solitude Can Be Solitude, S-O-U-L, Solitude. And you may or may not have seen that video. That is at my We Rise to Shine YouTube channel. And in that video, of course, I debunked the validity of believing in the subjective perception of loneliness, as well as I debunked the so-called expert advice to get more social as a solution to loneliness. There's a lot in that video. It's almost 1 hour in length, and if you haven't seen that, definitely want to take a look at that, because this video will make much better sense when you do. I'm going to assume that you have watched the video, and I'm going to continue on. So this video today was inspired because after I had done that video, I realized that I had not properly dealt with one very important aspect of experiencing the subjective perception of loneliness. In that video, I opened with 2 questions. The questions were, are you a threat to yourself? And do you fear yourself? And if you are thinking those questions are ridiculous, well, if you have ever experienced loneliness, then check, yes, you do think that you are a threat to yourself and you do fear yourself. And so when I did that video, it's the fear of oneself that I did not properly deal with in that video. Solitude can be solitude. And so I want to dive very deeply into that today. Before we can dive into the self-reflection part I talked about in that video, taking loneliness, which is self-rejection, and turning it into self-reflection, a deeper awareness of self. Before we can do that, we need to deal with the fear of being alone, the fear of oneself. So today's about how to face your fear of being alone. Now, I googled a few terms and I need to look at them here. It's kind of ironic and slightly comical if you have a little bit of a twisted sense of humor like me, that there are actually four terms for the fear of being alone. I'm going to give them to you. They are autophobia, monophobia, I hope I'm pronouncing the next one correctly, maybe isolophobia, isolated, that would make sense, isolophobia, and the last one is eremophobia. 4 terms for the fear of being alone, and I say it's comical if you have a twisted sense of humor like me, because the fear of being alone is so strong that they created 4 words for it so that those words would not feel alone. Get it? Okay. So anyway, now by the way, if you see my cat or you hear my cat snoring in the background, I can't do anything about that. Again, she'll just do whatever she likes, and she might even walk on my desk, and we're just gonna go with that, okay? Anyway, so getting back to these 4 words, autophobia, monophobia, isolophobia, eremophobia, 4 terms for the fear of being alone. Now, what's interesting to note in the definition is that I found online, the definition for these terms, it says sufferers, quote, need not be physically alone, but just to believe is key, just to believe they are being ignored or unloved. Did you hear that? I'm going to repeat it. Sufferers, quote, need not be physically alone to have these 4 versions of the fear or phobia of being alone. They just need to believe that they are being ignored or unloved. Now there are 3 important aspects to look at here. Number 1, the so-called expert advice on loneliness, because loneliness is also the fear of being alone. So if you start with loneliness and you let it accelerate or expand or grow or however that process works, then you come up with these fancy 4 terms for the fear or phobia of being alone. What do the so-called experts tell you to do about loneliness? And I'm sure what they tell you to do with these phobias is they tell you to get more social. I talked about that in that video that I did. Solitude can be solitude. So why is that terrible advice? Because if sufferers need not be physically alone to suffer these phobias, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that getting more social is not the solution. Because when you have a fear of being alone, you, this person who is afraid to be alone, take yourself out into the world, and wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you are, if you fear this person here, that person who fears him or herself will experience that everywhere else he or she goes. Who you think you are when you are alone is who you are when you are out and about. Okay? Number 2, sufferers have to believe. That is the key part of the definition. They have to believe that they are being ignored or unloved, with or without other people around, in order to suffer from these phobias. So again, these phobias, this fear, is based on a personal belief system. Personal belief systems are based on personal perceptions, and perceptions are always based on subjectivity. They vary according to whoever and whomever. Whoever and whomever. Okay. Anyways, so if it is a belief system based on subjectivity, and subjectivity is always open to change, then that means, of course, that these people have the ability to and the possibility of changing these perceptions, these belief systems, and therefore these phobias. As Dr. Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things and the way things look will change. Changing the way you look at you as a person so that you then perceive of yourself in a different way other than someone to fear. Are you following me so far? I know you are. Okay, number 3. Ironically, when sufferers of these 4 phobias, or the fear of being alone, also loneliness is the same thing, when they run away from being alone by doing everything they can to follow the expert advice to get more social or avoid being alone, they are ironically ignoring themselves and not loving themselves. I'm saying this because, look, the definition is sufferers, quote, need not be physically alone. They just need to believe that they are being ignored or unloved, end quote. If you are following expert advice and trying to get more social and doing whatever you can to avoid yourself, then you are growing this fear. You are creating more suffering for yourself because you are ignoring yourself and you are not loving yourself. And then you continue to suffer. They are proliferating the very circumstances that cause this fear. Okay? So, if you fear being alone and you're suffering from the subjective perception of loneliness or autophobia, monophobia, isolophobia, or eremophobia, the solution does not lie outside of you in being with other people or distracting yourself with, you name it, movies, whatever it is. The solution lies within you. It lies in a new perception of who you think is with you when you are alone with you. Because, as I said before, wherever you go, there you are. It's pretty deep, isn't it? That means if you consider this person a threat, you know, yourself, if you consider yourself a threat, you're afraid of yourself, you bring that threat with you everywhere you go. And it doesn't matter how many people are around you, etc., or how many distractions, as these people prove, they still feel it when they are getting distracted or with other people, etc. So it's time to stop looking outside of ourselves and start looking inside. The question is, who are you afraid of? Who? No, really. Who are you? Have you gotten to know yourself? Most people don't. Who has you so scared of yourself that, like, there was a study done in 2011, and I think I mentioned this in that video, that the people that participated in the study would rather receive a series of electric shocks than spend 15 minutes by themselves alone with their thoughts. Who are you that is so afraid of yourself that you'd rather get a series of electric shocks than spend time with yourself? A friend of mine in university recently said to me, quote, "I think it's scary looking inside," end quote. And, you know, her comment represents the vast majority of people. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think that people feel this way, that it's scary looking inside, for two reasons. Number one, people feel like there's this huge black hole of emptiness inside of them. They say things like, "I feel empty inside when I'm alone." And they feel that when they're alone, they can actually be sucked into that black hole and never come back out of it. And then, because they believe this, they desperately look for something or someone outside of themselves to, quote, fill the hole, or to avoid it altogether. And the second thing is, in addition to this hole, if the hole weren't enough, they feel like inside the hole are, quote, inner demons living inside that hole, and that those inner demons are sources of pain. So you've got the hole, and you've got these inner demons / pain. And the fear of getting sucked into that hole of pain and never getting out. I think that is what people fear when they are alone. So, is it true? Is it true that you have a black hole of emptiness inside of you? Is it true you have inner demons? Is it true that you will be sucked into that huge black hole and never get out? Whatever you believe, you will achieve. Let's take a look at this more deeply. What is that emptiness that people feel? Because it definitely feels real for them. And I'm going to call that emptiness neglect. Or another way of putting that, self-rejection, avoidance of the self. So let's take a lesson from the physical body. We can live 30 days without food. We can live 3 minutes without air. It's 30 days without food, 3 days without water, and 3 minutes without air, unless you're, a trained specialist of some kind, like those Korean women divers that can go much longer. Anyway, so if we take a look at the body, and the body feels an emptiness, right? Within parts of the body, the lungs feel empty, and the subconscious goes, breathe, and it's done. We feel the lungs. The large intestine feels empty, so boom, it's an emptiness, it's called hunger, and let's eat. And then, the emptiness is thirst, and let's drink. Okay, so then we feel that, we feel the emptiness, we give attention to it. We then decide to nourish the body by eating food, drinking something, water, and then we take a breath. And in none of that process is there any fear. It's just feel the emptiness of the body and give attention to it, and then nourish it in the appropriate manner. And much of it, the breathing is done by the subconscious, so we're not even saying, I need to breathe now. I need to breathe now. It's just automatic. So the key here is that there's attention to it, and then there's the nourishment and the filling of the emptiness, so to speak. But so you and I are not just physical bodies. We also have a mental body, an emotional body, and a spiritual body. 4. We are 4 bodies. And each one of those 4 bodies, as I already talked about the physical body, but the other 3 as well, can experience this so-called emptiness. So each of those bodies also requires attention and then nourishment, just like we give to the physical body. So when we do not give attention to the emptiness within any one of those 4 bodies. When we neglect that emptiness, it grows. Just like what happens with our physical body. The hunger grows, the thirst grows, and the screaming lungs give me breath. That feeling grows. Okay? So what causes the emptiness to grow in the mental body, in our thoughts? What causes that? The inattention to low vibration thoughts that we allow to continue. So what's a low vibration thought? For example, I don't think anyone loves me. I don't deserve to be loved. I am worth ignoring. No one cares about me. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve X, Y, and Z. That person's better than I am. I'm not as good. Whatever. All those are low vibration thoughts. That causes emptiness. Those thoughts in the mental body causes the emptiness, if not given attention to, causes the emptiness to expand, to grow. What causes emptiness to grow in our emotional body? In our emotions. The inattention to low vibration emotions that we allow to continue. So, what's a low vibration emotion? It is one built on the foundation of fear. Fear is the bedrock of every low vibration emotion. And then there's the gamut. The easiest way to explain it is anything that doesn't feel good in the 4 bodies, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, is built on the foundation of fear, and it is a low vibration emotion. Anger, sadness, it could even just be doubt. It just doesn't feel good. There's a whole list of those. And conversely, anything that does feel good in each of those 4 bodies is built on the foundation of love, joy, peace, harmony, unity, those bliss, those things. So let's say that, if someone cuts you off in traffic and you immediately experience anger and you just let it rip. You're like rolling down your window and yelling at the person who just cut you off, and then honking your horn and yelling obscenities and gesturing in unkind ways, and then you're following that person, as close to the person's bumper to be, annoying in return, etc. And you're allowing that to escalate, that anger to escalate, and you're not giving attention to the anger. You're just letting it continue, and you're allowing it to control you. This is what I'm talking about. These types of just allowing that to continue, the emotions to continue. That's how emptiness grows in low vibration emotions, is what I'm talking about. Allowing low vibration emotions to continue. And that's how it expands and grows in the emotional body. And what causes emptiness to grow in our spiritual body, our soul? So, same thing. The inattention, but a little bit different. The inattention to the truth at the heart of our soul. That we continue, this inattention, we continue to allow that. We continue to ignore the truth at the heart of our soul. when we neglect or ignore the truth at the heart of our soul, we create the low vibration illusion or belief system, which is based in illusion, of separation. And if we allow this illusion of separation to continue long enough, we feel separate from ourselves. And if we are separate from ourselves, then we create separation with others, and we create separation with Source Creator. We create separation with all of creation. And that is low vibration illusion. And I spell illusion ill, I-L-L, as in illness, ill, then lose, L-O-S-E, lose. It's ill, lose, I-O-N, illusion. Separation is an illusion. So that's what causes the emptiness to expand in each of those other three bodies: mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, the soul. The four bodies are one. They are all connected, interconnected. They don't operate by themselves. They are interconnected. And so when we don't attend to, give attention to one or more of the four bodies, that then has an effect on one or more of the other bodies. Because, for example, if you have a thought in the mental body and you do not give attention to that thought to see if that thought is a low vibration thought, and you allow that thought to continue, then that thought has an effect on the emotional body. You then begin to experience a low vibration feeling as a result of the low vibration thought. And if you don't give attention to or attend to that low vibration thought and then to the feeling, then you are going to experience some type of low vibration over time. If it's long enough, it'll manifest into the physical body, and it will also have an effect on the soul. So they are interconnected. It's like, I don't know, it's like Christmas tree lights. You know, if you have two strands of Christmas tree lights and then just one strand gets crossed just at the very end, well, if you attend to it right away, it's easy to untangle those, and it's not a big deal at all. But if you just throw that strand in the box, and then that strand in the box, and then the box does the strands over time get like this, and then you keep throwing other, and it's just one big ball of mess, and interconnected, and a nightmare to untangle. And that's the difference between giving attention to right away our four bodies, each one of them, an aspect of one at a time, right? And not giving attention right away. You nip it in the bud, so to speak. You don't end up with a box of tangled Christmas tree lights. And if you've ever had that, you know my pain. So, by not giving conscious attention to and then nourishing any feeling of emptiness in any of these bodies, we grow the emptiness. We grow the low vibrations. We then experience pain. Now, this pain is what people term inner demons. But I disagree with calling it an inner demon, because that is a negative way of looking at it in my belief system. For me, pain is the greatest teacher. The pain or the negative emotions experienced, when you have them, the bigger the pain or the bigger the negative or low vibration, I don't even want to call them negative, the bigger the low vibration emotion or pain, for me, the bigger it is, the bigger the lesson waiting to be discovered for soul growth. So the pain is to teach you, not to leech you. It's pretty clever, isn't it? Leech you. Suck the life right out of you if you do not give attention to it. It will. The pain will leech you. What happens when you are leeched by the pain, by not giving attention to it? Over time, like an actual leech sucking the life right out of you, you get weaker, weaker, weaker. Mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That is getting sucked into that black hole. Getting sucked into the black hole is not dealing with that pain, not giving attention to it, not nipping it in the bud right away, not having an awareness of it, giving attention to it, and then nourishing that, taking a look at it and nourishing it in some way. So it is ironic that most people believe it's too painful to face themselves. I believe it's too painful not to, because that pain leeching you over time compounds. It stacks up, compounds, grows, expands. And you're carrying all of that around, and it's dragging you down like there's big shackles around your ankles and chains and pulling you down heavier and heavier and heavier over time. It's a little niggling, and then over time compounding to just not feeling very good, then depression, and then, you know, developing other things. It's heavy. It's very... So how can we feel the emptiness in each of these bodies? So it's just like the emptiness that we feel in our physical body that asks us for food and water and air. We must give attention to and then nourish or heal that emptiness. This is, I talked about it in my last video of turning, this is the process of turning self-rejection into self-reflection. Another way of saying it is that if you are so used to ignoring yourselves, your mental, physical, emotional, and people ignore themselves physically as well. Of course, I have a headache. Someone will say, okay, I don't know, I'll just take a pill and ignore. What's the reason to have a headache? They ignore themselves physically as well. So if they're so used to ignoring themselves, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, the soul, if they're so used to that, doing that, and not giving attention to that, then and they have on top of that a fear of being alone, that manifests as loneliness, or those 4 phobias that I talked about, then they're in a state of self-mystery. They have no clue who they are. I am here on the planet to assist people to turn self-mystery into self-mastery. It is what I am working on for me and within me, and it is what part of my purpose on the planet is, to assist others to do that. Why? Why do we want to do that? Because what is the difference between self-mystery and self-mastery? With self-mystery, you give your power away. Look at this. Giving it, there's proof everywhere. Loneliness. Does that feel powerful? Autophobia, monophobia, islophobia, eromophobia. Does that feel powerful? If someone is feeling any one of those and they're desperate to run away from themselves and seek other people, the attention of other people, and then seek their approval so that they can get those people to like them, so that they're never alone, so that these people will like them enough to hang out with them and not leave them, so to speak. That is a process ongoing of giving one's power away. I know this because I was really good at doing that at one time in my life. With enough attention given to yourself, you will then be able to take those low vibrations, when a low vibration thought comes, etc., etc., low vibration thoughts, low vibration emotion, and then having the low vibration belief in separation because you're not connected to the truth at the heart of the soul. If it is the self-reflection, it is the self-mastery process, the turning to look at here, awareness, attention, giving attention to, it is the process of self-mastery that allows you to live in the highest vibrations in each of those 4 bodies. Those high vibrations allow you to then empower yourself. Empower yourself, not give your power away. The highest truth is, unlike what most people think, you are not that whole, H-O-L-E, that you feel like is inside of you. You are whole, W-H-O-L-E. You are love, divine love, having a human experience. You are powerful beyond measure. Joy is your birthright. Abundance, bliss, all of those high vibrations. That is your vibration, and that is your not vibration, that is your birthright. And those vibrations are your birthright. Living in fear, especially the fear of yourself, means that you cannot experience those high vibrations. You cannot experience your birthright. You cannot experience the love of yourself. nor can you experience the self as love. So focused attention turns, as I said, self-rejection into self-reflection. Self-mystery becomes self-mastery. This loves the self as a whole, W-H-O-L-E, versus ignoring the self as a big empty hole. H-O-L-E, I should say. H-O-L-E. So understand that self-mystery, not knowing about the self, is giving your power away. If you give your power away, you are easily controlled, easily manipulated, easily led. I saw a commercial at the gym on the treadmill today. Must-haves for the fall 2018 season. Must-haves. Like, you must have this. It's ridiculous. Are you just going to run out and do that because someone else says you must have it? Most people will. Because they don't know what they truly want, and they're constantly giving their power away to everyone else, everything else, because they don't know who they are. They don't know what they stand for, what they think, what they believe truly, what they really want, what is important to them, what is not important to them. They're constantly seeking approval outside of themselves. That is the disempowerment of self-mystery. Self-mastery is the empowerment. It is knowing what is important to you. It is knowing who you are in every way of those four parts of you, your four bodies. It is standing in your truth. It is having discernment and wisdom to know what works for you and what doesn't. Do you hear my cat snoring? She did this in the last video too. Okay. So please understand that if you, and our world teaches this, the world encourages self-mystery. The world encourages you to not look here, to not know who you are, to look outside of yourself. Why? Because it's very profitable for everybody out there. And it's also easy for those that do to control people, to manipulate people, to have them. It's simple. You must have this. That's a form of control and manipulation. That's a tactic. It's big business. Unplug from that. Turn yourself disempowerment, your self-mystery, into the empowerment of self-mastery. Be a leader in your own life. Stand like a deeply rooted tree, so that no matter what hurricane comes along, you are solid in who you are. If you are in the self-mystery camp, you are like a beach umbrella stuck in the sand in the middle of a hurricane, easily blown away and blown around and contorted and twisted by everything around you. Self-mastery, deeply rooted tree, solid in yourself no matter what. Spiritual guides known as Sanaya said, quote, "Only through dealing with the self do you come back to oneness, and only in oneness, in a state of pure being, do you come to know peace." End quote. That tree in the middle of the hurricane is the calm in the eye of the storm, in a state of being peace, solid. in a state of self-mystery, with that beach umbrella blowing around in the hurricane, that's not peaceful. That is somebody who is going this way, going that way, according to what everything else is happening around them. Archangel Gabriel stated, quote, "Daily quiet time is needed now more than ever. You must go within to see your beauty and to receive insights about how to proceed in your daily creations. In times of solitude, you can discover your soul blueprint." That's getting to the heart of the soul that I talked about. Or master experiences that you have already had. As long as you limit yourself, you can never discover how boundless and unrestricted your reality truly is. This shift in consciousness takes private time, solitude, and self-discipline. And skipping forward in what Archangel Michael says, when you are involved in the busyness of life, it is easy to slip into unconsciousness and create from that state. This state of being is called chaos. Not the singer Chaos, chaos. C-H-A-O-S. It is easy to fall under this spell of chaos, especially when your awareness or attention, when your awareness drops or your emotional body is in reaction through fear. Fear creates more chaos. And what causes that fear? Neglect, inattention, lack of awareness. They're all the same thing. Again, back to Archangel Michael. Gabriel. Gabriel. Be aware. Limit your vulnerability to anything outside of yourself. I repeat. Be aware. Give attention to. Limit your vulnerability to anything outside of yourself. Dedicate time each day to be in quiet meditation to develop self-awareness. Quiet, self-reflection, meditation, inner awareness. That's what Archangel Gabriel is talking about. When we do this, when we develop this self-awareness, in Archangel Gabriel's words, do that so that you never waver in the full expression of you. The name of my company, Rise to Shine Coaching. Rise to Shine. The purpose for that is encouraging people to shine as brightly as possible. How do they do this? The fullest expression of themselves. If you run away from yourself because you are lonely, because you have one of those 4 phobias, or they're all the same, the fear of being alone, you don't even know yourself. How can you then shine yourself? You are trying to hide yourself. You cannot rise to shine. You hide to limit, hide yourself. So this is a passion of mine. Look at the examples of the people that are most admired in history and herstory. You know, the greatest teachers, Buddha, Jesus, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, you name it. All these people spent time in solitude. They spent time alone. Jesus went and meditated in the desert alone. They knew the importance of self-mastery. And that, I firmly believe, is why we are on the planet. We master our thoughts, our emotions, our body, and our spirituality. And when we master ourselves, when we know ourselves on the deepest levels possible, we know of our empowerment. We are empowered fully. And we then rise to shine in this world, bright as any sun. The relationship that you have with yourself is the foundation of every relationship you have with others. As I said in the last video that I've talked about, if it's broken here, you will create broken relationships there. And then you create a world that is not whole, W-H-O-L-E. It is a world full of 7+ billion holes, H-O-L-E-S. People who perceive that they are wholes, H-O-L-E-S. And if those people perceive they are wholes, H-O-L-E-S, then you create a world full of holes. And you can see that easily in this world. There's lots of holes, easily seen. You name it, wars and suffering of all kind, etc. So, what if people were able to perceive of themselves differently, to change their perception of themselves, to go from perceiving of themselves as a big black hole to a bright, shiny whole, W-H-O-L-E. That creates wholeness in this world. And what does wholeness look like? Highest vibrations. That means you have love, you have joy, you have passion, you have freedom. You have all of that in one, each person expressing him or herself fully and brightly and powerfully. You are the leader in your own life. You are rooted in your truth, not wishy-washy and seeking approval and giving your power away. I hope this is making sense. So, let me know what you think of this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Now, I did talk about the fact that I want to provide, you deeper trainings on how to do this process, on how to go from the self-rejection of loneliness and the 4 phobias into self-reflection, from self-mystery to self-mastery. So I'm going to provide 4 trainings, separate trainings each, on looking at the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and the spiritual body, the soul you. And I will still do those 4 trainings, but this training was very, very important to address that fear of being alone, the fear of you. And I hope it covered the bases. Let me know if you have any questions. This is a heart work for me. H-E-A-R-T, heart work. It's a passion project. I really want to put my hat into expanding a global love revolution on this planet, and we cannot do that if we are afraid of ourselves and do not love ourselves. It starts here first, and then it grows from there. So if this video resonates with you and you find it helpful for yourself, then please share this video with anybody else that you feel it can help. And another thing you can do is help me help support this heart work by subscribing to my YouTube channel at werisetoshine. When people subscribe to YouTube channels, then those subscriptions, when they add up to 1,000 or more, then help the people with those channels to garner monetization. I'm being truthful about that. That's why people always ask for that. So that's a way to support me in this heart work if you feel called. If you don't, no big deal. I'm just giving this out there because this is my calling. It's my life purpose. So, love to hear what you guys think of this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever feels good to you, whatever is in your truth. And if none of those things, then stand in your truth. Okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention. And it is a big privilege to do this. Thank you so much. We are in this together. This is not about me. This is about being of service to love, to divine love, and being of service to empowering the planet, to giving people the initiative to look here, to build empowered people, whole people, W-H-O-L-E, to create wholeness on the planet, to do something about the holes, H-O-L-E-S, that we see on this planet. Okay? Thank you so much. Enjoy. And we rise to shine as the true light of love. Take care, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.